Okay, so let's do another quick review. And this is a interesting game that I played a little while back. One of the lessons that I think I've learned from this game is to Sakigiri. And so this game shows off exactly what happens or what can go wrong when you fail to Sakigiri a tile that you need to Sakigiri. Sakigiri being discarding early. And another lesson that I didn't learn at the time, but as I began to do this review, I've noticed something else that I did here that was really not good, and that's discarding a block when I have only 5 blocks. And so let's take a look at this right now and see how this game went. So I started off with a pretty good hand starting out. There's one Dora here, and it's part of this shape, although the shape's not really ideal for using the Dora necessarily, but it's not bad. And we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes here. So pretty good start. We draw the south and throw it out. Don't need that. Again, we don't need this one. And so here comes the pivotal point in the game, actually. And so I draw this 4P. What do you do in this situation, right? I have this Dora block that's kind of crappy, and I have 4 other blocks that are already made. This 4P doesn't really go into any of them. So arguably, you can just drop this right now. Or you can maybe think about dropping this block. So yeah, I do decide to keep the 4P here. And I throw out the one of the 2 mons and end up with a penchant shape. So I figured this is the only way to use the Dora, so I might as well just commit to this. So there we go, we draw another tile that we can just throw away, and then we draw a 6-mon. Now this creates this kind of kanchan type shape here in addition to the pair. So not exactly developing any of my shapes. I decide to throw out one of the two. So take this 2-2-4 shape and replace it with the 6-6-8 shape. I think it's kind of the same. So I'm not really sure why I threw one versus the other. But yeah, let's go next. So now we finally draw something that kind of goes into our hand and actually creates another shape here potentially with a 5-6 and a 6-8. And so you also notice that at this point, the 4-pin becomes dangerous. So yeah, Kami-chan now gets into Tenpai here. So yeah, I throw away the 8, and I'm still committed to keeping this 4-pin. Now I have a nice kind of shape here. And we draw the east, we don't need this. And then we draw the 6S. And at this point, I think I finally decide to cut the penchant. This is really bad because this actually goes back a shanten. So this is one of our required shapes in our hand, which I guess I've forgotten about. The 4-pin here needs a friend, so it's not making a shape. This also is not creating a new shape. So we're actually losing one of our blocks essentially. So I throw that out, and this is pretty terrible mistake, I think. Then we draw a 7-pin. So again, doesn't help the 4, doesn't really help this shape, which is already strong. And it's at this point that I finally cut the 4-pin, and of course, deal in. So yeah, pretty bad decision making, but the very first point where this decision making became bad, I think, was here, which was on turn 3 when I drew this 4-pin and I kept it. So it doesn't go into our hand at all. I don't really need to develop any of these shapes. Like, I didn't have to throw this 2-mon. I could have kept this as a pair and hoped for this to become a triplet over here. Just threw away the Dora, right? I think that was probably the correct cut. But let's see what Mortal says, and we'll review this game with the AI and see what the AI thinks. Okay, so here we are in Mortal, and let's see what Mortal thinks about these discards. So start out well, discarding the Southwind, that's fine. The 1-pin, also fine. We skip on the Chi, that's also fine. And here, yeah, a pretty big mistake, as I mentioned earlier. Mortal thinks we should be cutting this 4P right away. It doesn't go into our hand, and yeah, it doesn't even think about doing what I did, which is create a penchant out of what was arguably a much better shape. So yeah, a huge mistake here to do that, but it won't be the last one, I think. So yeah, we discard the white, and then yeah, again, it still thinks like throw away the 4 pin, 4 pin, please. Do not keep it. Why are you doing this and ruining your other shapes? Yep, still, as we draw and improve this shape, yeah, get rid of this 4p. We actually now created a sixth shape, so we really, really, really don't need another tile. And yeah, the taunt again, throw that out. And yeah, every single turn, it's basically it's screaming to get rid of 4p, get rid of it. Instead, I decide to cut the penchant. I think at this point, actually, it might already be too late. I think the Kamichai is here already in Tenpai, so if we throw it now, it's actually pretty bad. We deal in. And yeah, if we look at how this hand is developing over here, we probably pretty sure he's in Tenpai. He's called twice. He's got a Dora showing. He's thrown a 5. Yeah, it's probably pretty dangerous at this point. So we should be playing safer. But yeah, that's not what I'm doing. And so yeah, and now that as we move on and we draw the 7p, it actually doesn't like throwing the 4p anymore. Now I guess it's way too dangerous to throw it, and it wants to start maybe folding with these ones. But yeah, now I do throw it and deal in. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but still, the play was very, very inaccurate here. And it was inaccurate for really silly reasons. So if you just follow the 5 block theory, you wouldn't end up in this situation. And I think this is something that I've only learned to do very recently in my play, kind of surprisingly enough. I've started to pay more attention to the 5 blocks and what tiles are kind of actually loose and how many blocks I have. So I think I've stopped making this mistake since I've recorded this game originally. But yeah, definitely a lesson to learn here, and I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.